Greetings, fellow Spurgs! Join me on this wonderful adventure to absolutely torture Bruiser units. So, we're going into a Conqueror Lilias, an Apocalypse Ravi, and a Choux. Oh no! Big, mad, scary team. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the Magic Scholar Doris, Sharun, and Death Dealer Ray. Now, it doesn't look like it's super effective yet, but trust me. The biggest threat that we really have to deal with is actually Conqueror Lilias. Now, of course, things can go awry. It can absolutely happen. The worst thing that can possibly happen is your Death Dealer Ray is at a low enough HP to where he becomes the main target of a Choux, Choux goes into him, and then, like, procs her S2, and then just fucking deletes him. Now, that can happen, yes. But, thankfully, because Apocalypse Ravi's there, she's going into Doris first, so Doris is more than likely going to be the lowest HP. And also, guess who happens to have the highest attack out of the entire crew? Well, that would be Doris. So, what does that ultimately mean? Well, every time Sharun takes a turn, she pretty much, like, gives a buff to whoever has the highest attack, and I just so happen to get a whole bunch of wonderful barriers. So, because of that, Magic Scholar Doris is just pretty much like super protected almost the entire time, and we're able to get any and all of our hits off with Death Dealer Ray onto Conqueror Lilias. So if you've noticed, she's already like been out of commission for like 2 turns. And because of Sharun's incredibly based S3, we're able to slow down and apply Venom at the same time. And if you can manage to hit her and you don't get 15%ed, then you can also roll back her cooldown so that she just straight up can't do anything to you. It's very painful, and it feels so good. So yeah, it's been like 25 turns. It feels like nothing really has happened so far. But hey, as soon as you knock this vial down right there, and then bam! Whenever the Conqueror Lilias just dies from fucking cold, it feels super good. So here's something where I actually kind of fucked up. Something that I could have done is I could have just straight up left Choux alone. But honestly, I really wasn't afraid of her at this point anymore because Choux has max injury damage and she's really close to death. Case in point, bam. So now all we have left is Apocalypse Ravi. And the only thing that I really have to say to Apocalypse Ravi is, does a goddess such as yourself ever experience fear? Because, hey, you're not built to effect resist. I actually have a fairly decent amount of effectiveness on Sharun. I happen to have the buffs that Death Dealer Ray gives to her, which is even more effectiveness and more Venom procs. You're injured. You're not doing damage to the one unit you are supposed to hit. So with that bit of injury that you already have, this S3 that Death Dealer Ray is going to drop, bam! That's 9k, and then a single hot shot of the S1 will just delete you from existence. God, that shit feels so good.
Don't be afraid.
But, in stark contrast, let's have some, I guess, anti-fun. So, I didn't really know what to do right here. I was afraid to hit because I didn't want to get magic for friends, so I was just like, fuck it. We'll just go ahead and we'll boost Krau up, get the one hit off, get the immunity up. Hopefully we'll get magic for friends tier. Doesn't happen. But okay, fine. We have 3 units that are going to go into us all at the same time, and all 3 of those hits are going to completely max cooldown Last Rider Krau. Because, hey, you gotta have fun somehow, I guess. Like, yeah, I said anti-fun, but like, this is pretty fun whenever you go into like a full AoEing team and you just completely counter it with your anti-AoE setup. So, now I'm using Roana, Destina, and Last Rider Krau, which in all honesty, I'll be real with you, it's a little bit overkill. Like, you don't need 2 healers and Last Rider Krau to go into this. However, I was just like, why not? Because Destina is going to be here to provide any and all cleanses if it is necessary, because this team was actually kind of slow, so I was able to get my my immunity off. That usually doesn't happen. So we're able to just zoom. So this is our second S3, by the way. Shazam. So we've killed Mercedes once. Now we just have to kill her one more time, and then we're pretty much donezo here. Because, like, I don't know, guys. Ambitious Tywin is really not scary in the slightest if you go into him without, like, debuffs at all. Sure, the one thing he'll do, which will annoy the ever-loving shit out of you, is the fact that he drains 5 souls every time he S1s you. That kind of sucks, yeah, but hey, I've already gotten 2 Siegfrieds out. and I'm about to get a third one out right here. Because you probably saw that I had the souls to do it. Yeah, anytime you're fighting Ambitious Tywin and you have souls available, just let that shit rip. Because as soon as he starts like hitting you with S1, you're just straight up not going to be doing any soul burns ever for the rest of the fight. Yeah, in a way, like, he can be somewhat of a progenitor to, you know, the Bellion cancer, but, like, I don't know, Bellion's way, way worse. Especially because Bellion could possibly have injury on her, and that nerfs your damage, blah, 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 fucking blah. But either way, we've dealt with, like, two of the somewhat problematic units, and now all we have left is Senya. So, with Senya there, let's go ahead and let's rip a fourth Siegfried. Shazam. So now she's really, really close to dead. Feels good, man. All we have to do is just keep going into her, and then we're donezo. So, yeah, now basically what you're seeing is just a whole bunch of nothing, because all we have to do is just keep attacking her until her barrier runs out, until we're done. That's it. And I'm actually unsure as to why she's healing right now, because I see that she has greater attack buff, which means that she should be using her EE for the greater attack buff, but she's healing on counterattack, and she's using Spear of a New Dawn, so she's doing the extra damage there. I guess this one's actually on lifesteal. That's really, really strange. I usually never see a lifesteal Senya, because the reason why I wouldn't use a lifesteal Senya is it just feels like you don't do enough damage to justify a lifesteal. You're better off using the S1 EE if you're going to go for like that tanky kind of build that just wants to be annoying and survive. I mean, you get like, what, 1,000 to 2,000 or something per hit, whereas opposed to here, you're seeing like 400s. And so, because like the damage that you deal on single target hits is just nothing. The real damage that Senya does is based off of additional damage. Like, do you see that? It was like 1,000, then like an additional 2k on the additional damage. That's the damage, not the actual initial. So I would say like a lifesteal set, I probably wouldn't do it. I would just go speed if I were you. But hey. Whatever. So naturally, one of my favorite teams is a Lua, Choux, and not Senya, but a Kayron team. So what I decided to do for here is just my typical anti-Lua setup, which is Christy, Roana, and Shadow Knight Pyllis, good old CRP. And the reason why I decided to go with this is, well, one, Kayron's not going to have attack buff yet, so he's going to go into one of my two green units, both of which are fairly tanky. So I'm not too worried about who he's going to go into first. So, and also I'm going to have a barrier up right here, so it's like, I'm not scared in the slightest of the first initial hit for Kayron. Now, the second hit may actually pose to be a problem, because one, he'll have attack buff, and he'll just do monstrous damage if I don't manage to provoke him or anything like that. So, there was the first hit. It really wasn't too bad. So I decided to take this time. Okay, well, I'm going to go into Kayron now, and as soon as I can just go into him a little bit, and I can proc his immortality, then he's going to use his S3 again. Hopefully I can get a provoke. I do not manage to get a provoke. You know, life sucks. That's just kind of how it is. And then we just kind of go from there. So right now you see just Lua doing her horse shit, not even really affecting anything. Sure, it affected Roana, but like after you've gotten your first like initial big barrier off, you can just rely on the S1 for the barriers and for the healing from Celestine. And also, anytime you manage to get a counterattack from Kayron, whatever, that's just more healing. So that one right there was a small mistake that I did, was going into Kayron with Shadow Knight Pyllis, because she did literally nothing. He was at 1 HP, and I'm not going to strip anything. Whatever. So the next turn any of my units gets, I'll go in and I'll kill Kayron, and then we're done. So then, after Kayron, the only other threat is Choux. Now, the reason why Choux is a threat is because she's always going to go into Shadow Knight Pyllis, and thankfully, like, we have enough units going into Shadow Knight Pyllis that we're going to be refreshing our defense buff constantly. We already have 3 stacks of will. We have a metric fucking shitload of defense. So we're just taking a lot less damage in general. And also, she's never going to strip with her S2 because we have a shitload of resistance, thanks to Christy giving us an additional 100, along with us generally having 150 to about 200 or so effect resist, and then plus 100 onto that. So, That's pretty much it. So as soon as we just start going into Choux, I'll pretty much realize, because for whatever reason I haven't hit auto yet. I don't know why, because this is the same thing as anytime you go into a Lewis and Choux. As soon as you've dealt with like one of the problematic issues where you would take big damage, as soon as you just set up your team and just go into it, Shazam, it's over. Like, for example, like right here, the Choux's almost dead, and the Lua is going to do nothing to me because I have enough effect resist where I really don't have anything to worry about. Woo! Hooray! But yeah, like, this is the biggest reason as to why, like, I kind of hate these Lua teams. Is, yeah, there are multiple different ways to actually fight Lua now. Benimaru is an answer, but I find Benimaru isn't as effective as an answer because of mainly who else is on the team with you. For example, if you're dealing with something like, say, a Choux on your team, on the team that you're fighting, if the Choux withstands the S3 and the Hellflare that you do with Benimaru, like if she withstands that, you run a very, very serious risk of being killed. Especially if the crit resist has gone off, or if you just happen, you go into her and then she just counters you and then procs the S1 and S2, and then your Benimaru's fucking dead. Like, I mean, that can happen. Can 100% happen. So then you're just like, well, okay, well, I guess I'll go into somebody else. Well, then you're not guaranteeing if you're going to kill the Choux. So it's like, Benimaru can work into Lua teams, but it's really a matter of who's all going to be on the team with it. Like, I've seen Lua and Senya. Benimaru can also work there, but then you're risking if you're going to crit or not, things like that. Lilias can work into a Lua team. I'm just not a very, very big fan of that setup. But, I mean, hey, I've seen a lot of people make it work. Oh, goody. So, okay, here is round one, fighting my oh-so-favorite fucking character, Ran. So this is Ran, Savior Adin, and Mercedes. Now, what you're basically seeing is the good timeline. This is the good timeline where you're not fighting the broken-as-fuck artifact RNL. And then, because you're not fighting RNL, the fight's effortless. So, what we're going to go for here is we're just trying to build up any and all damage on Yulha. She's taking a lot of the damage. She has Aureas, so like even Dark Corvus isn't taking anywhere near as much damage. Like, look how much damage this does. This does almost nothing. Yeah, it's like 9k. So, and then here comes an AoE from Mercedes. So this should put Yulha at low %. And it does. So, because of that, now we're able to go into Savior Adin. I don't give a flying fuck how, like, you have your Savior Adin built. If you're low on HP like this on Yulha, she dead. Yeah, case in point. That was almost 15k on a miss. And then, I also happen to have my turns line up. Here's Dark Corvus going into Mercedes. She's dead. So, hey, congratulations. This team is over. Super, super easy. So now we just got to go into Rand until we win. Now, the reason why I say this is the good timeline is because you're going to see this fight yet again. And, well, we're going to be going down a different timeline. God, I fucking hate Ran. It's just, I don't know, man. Like, some people just have units that they absolutely despise. For me, it's Ran. I just feel like Ran is in this state of, like, near untouchable status where, hey, he's the fastest character in the game. So, and he functions off of speed. He has a fucking... I think he has an irresistible strip and, like, death break as well if you soul burn his S3. Like, he's just a fucking ridiculous character. But either way, I'm rambling. Let's go ahead and move on to the next fight where we go down that dark future. So, speaking of dark futures, hey, look, guys, it's RNL, otherwise known as Ran Never Loses. So he's going to go into my team here, and it's honestly, it's not the RNL that super fucks me over. It's actually the team itself. It's actually very weirdly speed-tuned. So, yeah, big hit into Dark Corvus, but, like, have you noticed the other two units haven't gone yet? Because even if I had a death break on my Dark Corvus, I've survived those in the past from a Savior Adin. They're really not that dangerous because of Proof of Valor is just an absolutely busted fucking artifact. Now, did you see that? Mercedes went before Savior Adin. Now, because Mercedes went before Savior Adin, now that whole team has invincibility for far fucking longer than I initially planned. And here, I didn't think my HP was low enough to actually kill the Savior Adin. Spoiler alert, it actually was. So, that's not a critical error, but it is something that you can take note of. Because, I mean, hey, it would have been more HP onto my Yulha, whatever. But either way, hey, here comes Ran again. So, how many times do you guys think he RNLs? He's already done it once. I'll go ahead and tell you. He RNLs 3 times. So it's not an immense number of RNLs. I've seen far more. But 3 is still really, really bad. So I go into this, I still think I'm okay, but like if you notice, Mercedes still has invincibility because like of how ridiculously weirdly slow the team was. So I wasn't prepared for this in the slightest, and there I just went on ahead and tested it because I didn't have any other real options. Now here was another big mistake that I made. I could have actually used Dark Corvus's S3 just for healing potential, even though the Ran was skill nulled, because you still do a very large amount of damage, and you would have gotten a big heal out of hitting Ran with it. And with that, I would have had more, like, you know, HP to go into it, and then I'd be hit by Magic for Friends, I'd be hit by the S2 from Mercedes, I'd be hit by the S3 from Mercedes, whatever. You would build up your S3 on Dark Corvus super, super fast. But either way, here is where things are just starting to get really, really, really pear-shaped, and I'm starting to, like, actually lose faith that I can win. Now, I can still possibly win, but Ran also, not only with his stupid fucking artifact, RNL, just delete RNL from the game, it's the stupidest fucking artifact in existence, he also manages to land quite a few crits on my fucking Destina, which is extra painful. Yay. Because I think also in this fight, this isn't even a max crit Ran, because I think it was either in this fight or it was the previous one where he wasn't even critting my Dark Corvus. I honestly can't remember. It's a blur right now. But here, I really didn't think I was going to survive, so I had to take the risk and just use the S3 on Destina. Unfortunately, everybody's way too high up on the CR bar, and I'm just straight up not able to have them survive. Like, bam, right there. They're dead again. Thanks, RNL. You're the best. But, I mean, it doesn't really matter that RNL happened. I mean, Mercedes would have just killed them anyway. But, like, here, I'm just doing everything I possibly can to survive, and it just ain't gonna happen, man. Guardian Ice Crystals is good, but it's not good enough if you don't have, like, damage mitigation or, like, a bunch of shields or something, because that's what makes Guardian Ice Crystals ridiculous, is, like, all of the survivability that you give with it whenever you have damage mitigation, be it barrier or, like, any other means. And with that, yay! Ran never loses, boys. No, I'm not mad. So, I mean, hey, to go ahead and contrast a wonderful Ran match, easily the character I hate the most in this fucking game, let's immediately then pivot into Lewis and Choux, which is also probably my least favorite fight in the entire game. Now, why is it my least favorite fight in the entire game? Well, it's not because it's difficult. It's because there's quite literally nothing to do. Like, seriously, as soon as the fight starts, if you have good effect resist checks and you have a good unit that can tank every single hit from it, like if you have 2 greens and then 1 other unit that can take the hit, so in this case Christy, Roana, and Shadow Knight Pyllis, they're all going to go into Shadow Knight Pyllis. I have a fuckload of effect resist, I have def buff every like other turn, and it's also not going to be stripped because I have a lot of effect resist, and I have rocket punch, so I'm doing damage with her. So, with this wonderful little combination of thingy-majiggers, well, we straight up can't lose. I don't think I have... I think I might have lost a Senya Choux Lua comp once. I'm really trying to think. I cannot remember off the top of my head, but I feel like I've lost this comp once. I can't remember what exactly happened. I would have to merely assume is like a Choux just went absolutely crazy and it was built really, really strong. Maybe. But like otherwise, I don't ever really lose this comp. Now, I've lost against, say, Conqueror, Lilias, Senyas, and Choux because with that, you don't need Christy. Like, Christy's just not necessary. But like with Lewis and Choux, I want to be, like, give it the benefit of the doubt. I think I've lost to this team once. I really do. But otherwise, I don't know. It's extremely consistent. Whenever I use Christy, Roana, and Shadow Knight Pyllis fighting this team, I can just auto it, and I can go do something else. Which is quite literally what I did. I went to go and just turn on a podcast and listen to a podcast while I was doing this GuildWar. That's how, like, little I had to care about it. I mean, and even whenever you see right there, wherever I go and I pick a unit to hit, like, so after Choux was dead, I then pick Senya to hit, It doesn't matter. I could honestly leave this alone. It's just a matter of I don't want to have to pick between Lua and Senya, because the only other units that are going to go into Lua are going to be my two like non-DPSs like Christy and Roana. It just makes shit like longer. And the only other way that this team kind of drags a little bit when you're fighting this is if the Senya is on EE artifact or like is on EE S1. And the reason why that kind of drags is because then she can kind of like heal a good bit. And honestly, you're still doing more damage than she's healing, but like it just makes it drag. Like this fight I believe ends like in the 40 or so turns remaining, but if you have like a Senya that's like that, it ends somewhere in like the 30s or the 20s, just because it takes that much longer to kill her. Which, if you have any opportunities to hit Lua and she's not like getting guiding light or whatever, yeah, just go into Lua, kill her, and then like things will start to like go a little bit better, because Lua is so fucking ridiculously fast. She's just wasting your time. Like, look at all this animation time that's going through. It does nothing for you. It's just a bunch of fucking fluff. Like, that's all it is. Because you have so much effect resist, you just don't care. But either way, yeah, so this is like the team here really, and I just don't have anything else to really say about it. Now, thankfully, we're actually almost done. I had a story to tell just in case I wasn't able to explain myself for like why I use this team. And you know, I don't know, yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and just, hey, what's the story that you were going to tell, Luz? Oh, I'm really glad I asked myself that. So yeah, the story I was going to tell was, I went to go and like make dinner just like a few hours ago. And while I was doing that, I burned the ever-loving shit out of my arm. It definitely doesn't hurt as bad anymore, but yeah, you can definitely see the swelling now. Oh, fuck. Thank God I had some aloe with me. So, yeah, if you're ever reverse searing ribeyes, folks, make sure that whenever you're flipping the steaks, you probably do it with a fork and not with tongs. Because if you do it with tongs, you might lose grip of it, and it might hit the oil, and the oil might splash. When that happens, you'll burn the ever-loving fuck shit out of yourself. Don't be a retard like me. But either way, yeah, that was great. So thankfully, it's not like hurting a whole lot anymore. It looks a lot worse than it is now, but like I don't know. We'll see how it goes through. But either way, in regards to stuff going on this week, I don't know, man. I guess I'm hyped for Wednesday tomorrow, whenever we eventually get Roana. But like, I'm super hyper omega retard busy throughout the week. I don't know if I'll have anything fun to play with for Wednesday's GuildWar or not. I definitely don't know if I'll have anything for Friday's GuildWar. Because Wednesday, I'll try my best to get something out. I don't know if it'll be any good or not, because it'll probably be super, super late. But for Friday, it's just straight up not happening. I need to get out of town again. I need a break. I gotta get the fuck out of here. But hey, with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this content. If you did, hey, leave me a like. It makes me feel good about myself. And if you want to see more of my content, go on ahead and hit subscribe. I hope you have a good one. Later.